Ellie, Jack, I'm thinking of having a little ceremony to remember our friends. What do you think?
What sort of ceremony? What are you saying, that we're never going to see them again?
No, that's not what I meant.
Because you may have given up hope, Salene, but I haven't. I know that Alice and Luke and the rest of them are alive out there somewhere, and I'm not going through some kind of burial ceremony.
Welcome to Series 4, Episode 4 of Conversations on Eagle Mountain, a podcast about the tribe. I'm your host Lance, and joining the podcast panel today is Liz.
Hello.
Sabine.
Hi.
And Maggie.
Hi.
With episode notes done by Matt and myself. So Series 4, Episode 4, there was no screenplay listed and there was no director, but the episode synopsis were read out by Maggie.
Ebony enlists Jack's help to make use of the stolen Techno communicator, while Ram metes out punishment for its disappearance. CLOE has it bad for Pride. Amber makes a decision.
Okay, after being asked for help by Ebony, Jack tells Ellie how he hopes to be able to listen in on the Techno's communications if he can get the stolen device working.
Well, I mean, this is real serious technology. I just don't know how they're doing it. I can tell you, Ebony, if they're using stuff like this, we don't have a hope.
Well, can you get it to work?
Well, I don't know. It's protected by some high-level encryption.
Yes, but can you do it?
Well, yeah, maybe.
Then try, Jack.
Ellie worries that her making him stay in the city is putting him in danger. That is until Salene suggests that they hold a ceremony for all their missing friends. Furious at the implication that Alice is dead, Ellie orders Jack to get the communicator working so they can fight back against the Technos. See, a panel, what did you make of Ellie in these opening scenes?
I'm not surprised. As soon as I heard Salene say she wanted to put a ceremony for their, together their missing friends or whatever, I knew that one of most likely Ellie would throw a fit, because how dare you say that her sister's dead?
Mm.
Yeah, she's really emotionally fragile right now, basically barely hanging on. It's not a bad setup to her breakdown, considering who Ellie was. And she was so secure in her reality of having the people around her care for her, and her sister being this steadfast. It didn't seem to matter how bad things got. Ellie kept it together. You know what I mean? She never seemed fragile before. So I guess if you're going to set her up for that storyline as someone who completely falls apart, this is a good way to lay the groundwork for that, to show that this is very different than every other time she's had to be separated from somebody. Yeah, she might have a cry about it, but pulled herself together pretty quick. And losing her sister right off the back of being abandoned by the man she gave up everything for, and Jack being the only one, I guess that's what they're trying to do, is let you know that Ellie is not okay. She's barely holding it together with paper clips, but her emotional state is really fractured right now, and anything could set it off.
And it makes sense for Ellie. Yes, Tyson is gone, so Lex can be sad about that. But Ellie is one of the few people who still had actual family. Yeah, I don't know. This is her sister we're talking about, so I get why she's reacting the way she is. And to instantly tell Jack that he has to get it working again so they can fight back. I'm not sure it's either acceptance that Alice is gone forever, or just grasping at straws in hopes of finding out anything about Alice still at this point.
It's also probably one of the few times Ellie's ever felt helpless, because she's definitely a doer when things are going wrong, and she's usually first in line to be like, okay, what's the plan? And this is a situation where there's literally nothing she can do, She can't throw herself into any kind of action. What needs to be done is something only Jack can do. And so that also is probably fraying on her nerves. All she can do is sit back and wait and hope that the people who this is their wheelhouse can figure out a solution. And it doesn't sound like she's confident about, Jack, what he's working on. Not that she's not confident Jack, but more like the plan. And she's also concerned about him putting himself in danger. As before Salene had walked in, that seemed to be Ellie's main concern, like making sure he knows he doesn't have to put himself in danger, especially if he's only doing it because he felt pressured by her to come back and be a part of this. And she was always pretty good about that, even back in season 2, telling him that this is dangerous. You don't have to do it. I won't think less of you if you don't want to put yourself in harm's way to do this. So I think that may have something to do with it as well.
Yeah, and let's not forget, she may have said that he shouldn't put himself in harm's way, but because he asked, he did get taken away by the Chosen back then because of her, or at least because of, his attempt of helping her.
Right, because she was so gung-ho, like, we've got to do something.
Yeah.
And, and Jack's like, okay, fine, we'll do something. And then this consequence, which was probably one of the biggest ones Ellie had ever had to deal with, happened. And it changed everything in her life. And so, yeah, I just, I think the scene is there to set that stage for her, and that she's just not taking any of this well and is barely keeping it together. And something as simple as Salene wanting to be like, hey, this might help everyone if we take a moment to remember that we're all grieving. We don't know if we're going to see our loved ones again. Let's take that moment together, like a moment of silence. Something like that set, Ellie off the rails. There's no way Salene was suggesting our friends are dead and we'll never see them again. She's just like, let's all come together and acknowledge that we're feeling this and we're not alone in feeling it. But we've seen Salene feel the same way when Tyson would be like, let's join hands. And Selene's like, I don't want to join hands. I just want Ryan back. That doesn't make me feel better. And, so it seems like a very realistic reaction for someone in Ellie's state of mind right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to hold hands with you people, and I don't want to acknowledge that I'm terrified that I may never see my sister again.
I just want to find my sister.
Right. So just, I hope your plan works, Jack. Get on it.
Just to play like devil's advocate for a minute, like because you guys did mention the scenario before where it led to Jack being taken away. Like, do you not think Ellie should have taken another moment to realize what situation she was putting Jack in, or helping to push Jack into?
Maybe.
She should have, but she's not in a mental state to do that.
Yeah.
That's probably why she breaks as hard as she does in the future. It's a replay. This time she's not the one pushing him to do this plan. He's gung-ho to do this. He's the one who's not reluctant for once. And she was the one who's actually like, you don't have to do this. I don't want you to feel beholden to me or any guilt. You don't have to. And he does it, and then that we know what happens. And it's probably why Ellie completely cracked at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Jennifer's doing a good job of playing someone who's this emotionally fragile. Like one moment she seems like, she's a bit subdued, but she seems okay. And then one thing completely set her off, and you can hear how broken her voice is. And it's all on display, but she's barely keeping contained. And I thought Jennifer did a good job of portraying that.
Yeah, it's very realistic.
Or Selene's like, I just wanted to help. Jack's like, don't look at me. I will say this, considering the emotional roller coaster these guys have been on the last few days, I will say this, even though their reactions to what's happening have been hit or miss, I kind of like the reactions the characters have been having to each other at the very least. When, someone kind of just flips out, screams or whatever. I think that has been painted pretty well, accepting that everybody is going through it, and someone may scream your head off out of the blue, and you're just left to be like, oh, okay, I can't take this personally. This isn't about me. And so I actually did like that moment, after Ellie runs out of the room, and we just sit there for a second with Salene and Jack. They know it's not them, you know what I mean? And they know there's nothing they can do to make Ellie feel better except present her sister to her. And that's not something they can possibly do either, And so I do like seeing these little vignettes, these tiny moments of someone else reacting to another character losing it for a moment and not immediately like, oh, we're not friends anymore, I don't like them anymore, or you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, okay, we are all strung out, we're in rough shape.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, talking about reactions, that leads us directly on to the scenes with Ram, Jay, and Ved. So, knowing that the communicator is missing, Ram toys with Jay and Ved by ordering a review of the devices before challenging Jay to set his brother's punishment once it does come to light.
What do you think, Jay? Wasn't your brother careless?
I think he was careless.
Hear that, Ved? So maybe we should leave the punishment to your brother. The punishment has to fit the crime, and this is a very serious crime. So what's it gonna be, Jay?
Admitting the ruse, he nevertheless leaves Ved with a clear warning, prompting Jay to criticise Ved's choice of role models, but Ved, however, would definitely not want to be anything like Jay. So yeah, some what I thought were good scenes between the three. What did you make of the strain between Jay and Ved and Ram's play with the two of them?
I really like, again, I think we're getting some really good characterization and storytelling about who Ram is as a person, which that's a nice discovery to realize coming back into this, that they're actually doing a really good job telling you who Ram is by showing you who he is. And it's like this whole pantomime he does. It's his game. We know, the audience knows that Ram is already aware that one of his communicators has gone missing. And we already know he was completely amused, not upset, not angry, not ready to rip anybody's head off or set fire to anything. He laughed, he smiled. Haha, this is fun. You know, so for him to come in and play this game tells you so much about who he is and how he treats people and how he sees people as just, you know, they're toys, you know, and it also shows just how aware he is of the strain between the two brothers, and that it's setting you up that he likes playing with family members. He likes playing with people who have relationships with each other and poking at it and seeing how he can manipulate. And it does hint that, now, granted, the future will show us that plenty of the strain between Ved and Jay plays a huge part in that. As you know what I mean? Like, just the things we learn about Jay, you start being like, maybe Ved had a very good reason for hating his brother, okay? But obviously we don't know that in the beginning, you know? So Ved just comes across as very petulant. Jay comes across as very responsible. So it's just like, okay, what's Ved's problem? You know what I mean? Jay's got a point, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that Ram is so aware of the strain between these brothers and finds it fun to mess with them, to put, you know, like, think about it. Jay knew about the communicator and he doesn't report that to Ram right away. That is indicating he's trying to protect his brother, but he's not sure how long he can, because eventually Ram's going to find out. When Ram's like, oh, by the way, I have everyone turn in their communicators. Look at Jay's face. Because, you know, in that moment, he realizes, I'm going to have to tell him what my brother did, and I don't want to. I clearly want to protect my brother from getting in trouble with this guy. Knowing that Ram is aware of this, and that's exactly why he's doing this, to pit them against each other, like, wow. Like, that's villainy right there. That's sadism. And so I think that's actually some really good storytelling. And even the fact that, you know, he lets it go on and everyone's serious and everyone's silent after he's like, well, if Ved's the one who did it, like, you're going to have to. And then nobody laughs until Ram does. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, whew, this guy's messed up.
Yeah.
I kind of can't blame Ved's reaction, like, given his age. And you guys keep in mind, I can't stand Ved. So, this is not me being biased because I like him or something. I don't like him, but I do think this scene helps a lot in understanding where so much of his petulance comes from, and just the way he is taking all of this. You know, he's not looking anyone in the eye. He's just staring at the computer screen. The way it's framed, everybody is behind him, around him, staring down at him. It's like he's center stage for this sort of humiliation. And he actually takes it very well. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't make any excuses for himself. He's just waiting for the hammer to fall. And only his face sort of gives away that he's a bit scared because he is a kid, and that he's embarrassed. And is ashamed that his big brother is being put in a position to punish him, and there seems to be an uncertainty of whether his brother will. And yet, at the same time, he doesn't feel grateful that his brother doesn't want to punish him. You know, it just, again, it makes him feel condescended to. And that reaction, like, how else are you going to react to somebody publicly humiliating you this way for their own amusement? You would shrug someone off, even if they were trying to comfort you, or like Jay is basically pointing out the error of Ved's ways. It makes sense that Ved's immediate reaction is to shrug him off. You know, like, I get that emotional response considering what Ved just went through. Even though it was Ved's fault, I get that. But I just felt like it was a very realistic reaction to the show Ram just put on for his expense, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so even if Jay had come over and actually been comforting, I wouldn't imagine Ved would have taken that well either, you know?
Chloe, that hurt.
Sorry.
It should be Tyson doing this. When she touches you, her hands feel like butterflies.
Well, you'll just have to put up with mine for now, won't you?
I didn't mean to say you don't have good hands. You're a grown-up now, aren't you?
Well, I'm not a child anymore, if that's what you mean.
No. No, you're a woman. And a very pretty one, too.
You think so?
Sure. That's the thing about a man. He needs a real woman, someone to look after him. Like you're doing now. Ah!
Lex, are you hitting on me?
I had some things to say this whole scene.
We have to talk about it. I mean, go ahead. Go ahead, Freddo. Go.
I think they just wanted to make it very obvious to us that Chloe is now of a dating age.
Yeah, but did they have to use Lex?
That's
Like all the things that Lex has done? You know what I mean? To have him hit on someone who he's known since she was like 10.
Yeah.
Like, it's gross. Like, I could just be like, Lex, don't do that.
Who else could they have used for that?
Nobody. They didn't need to use any of the adult males.
It's true.
No, but, would there need to be obvious about it?
I mean, it's quite obvious with the way she's clinging to Pride.
I was going to say, like, did we really need this?
No, I didn't. I don't think it was necessary at all.
Yeah, I don't like the tone of this. I think in a bubble it could work. And I'm just going to play devil's advocate because I don't know what the intentions of the writers were. I can only guess at them. Like, on one hand, you could see this as Lex wasn't hitting on her, but she is meant to feel he is. And this is a moment to show that just because Chloe is becoming a young teenager who will be besotted by a pretty face, that doesn't mean she wouldn't fall for anybody, right? Maybe that's what they're going for.
Mm-hmm.
But because they wanted to make sure that it would make sense that Chloe thinks he's hitting on her, they have to have him say something that just makes you really uncomfortable because he's known her since she was a little girl. It's the start of a trend. They want to show young girls coming of age and getting smart about the kind of guys they'll fall for, and that means they'll do it at the expense of Lex as a character, and so they start with Chloe, they will finish with Gel.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it doesn't help that, again, Lex does have a history of being a sexual predator. I don't want to invite the idea of Lex, who is very looking like a grown man now. He no longer has his boyish looks, And so I don't think you want to invite the idea that he would even be attracted to Chloe.
Yeah, even entertain the idea. Yeah. Why even put that out there?
Right, like, why would you want to do this when we have seen the things he is willing to do to females in the past?
Like Jack would have been about.
Right, something like that could have worked. And also, I don't really think they needed to have the scene to show that Chloe is still, level-headed about the kind of guy she would like. I think they've already done a good job showing that Chloe is definitely older.
Yeah.
And, with her crush on Pride, like, that's a reasonable guy for her to have a crush on. Yeah. You know what I mean? Also, I don't even think it's necessary because Chloe even showed back when she was a child that she was picky about the sort of guy that she would fawn over. She wasn't going to just like anybody. They showed her at like age 12 breaking it down with Patsy as to what kind of guy they should want and why. You know what I mean? So I don't think that's necessary. to show that she's still a strong female by making a fool of Lex and making him look super creepy. Because there are parts of the scene I really liked. Lex acknowledging that a child that he was never very kind to.
Yeah.
You've grown up. He's complimenting her on that, and talking about his wife and his understanding of womanhood from his point of view and what he thinks makes a woman. And in his eyes, he's complimenting CLOE by letting her know, I see some of those virtues in you. You've grown up. You know what I mean? But the way they wrote it, and it's just like,
Yep.
I don't think that's the tone you should go. And again, also that you can elevate CLOE's character and make a fool of Lex, and again, you're going to do it later with Gel, and it's going to be even creepier. But with CLOE, it's just way worse because, again,
The little sister.
we've seen that she was literally a child playing with teddy bears, when they met, and this is when Lex was already a very sexually active teen
Yeah.
when he met a little girl. This is gross. You know what I mean? This is a married man now. He's a man. He's no longer a boy, and this is not it. And it could have been a nice scene.
I think it could have, like I said, it could have worked much more effectively with Jack.
Yeah.
Even, like Jack just asking her maybe about, and then her kind of thing he's hitting on. He's really not, because it's Jack.
Yeah.
Lex
Jack
is
was
aware.
safe.
Lex is absolutely aware of how he comes across to women.
At least the writers are aware of how he comes across.
Yeah.
But
who's the writer? Maybe that's why we don't have any credits.
Yeah. Exactly. They don't want to acknowledge that.
I mean, of all the things to do to Lex, like
They've done some crap.
And they've done some crap. They've done some really bad things. Like, but to push him in this direction,
Ew. Especially when you went through all that to rehab his character.
Yeah, he's come out the other end, and
this is what they do. This is what they do with him. They always do that. He has this massive character growth, and then they're like, well, we still got to make him Lex, so let's slap that stereotype back.
Right now they can't pick on Trudy, so Lex is the best victim.
And it's like, we're not just going to drag him down. We're going to drag him down even further to where he was. Like
right back to season 1.
But this scene kind of disgusted me, to be honest. Like,
it kind of makes me wonder if the person who did write this episode knows anything about Lex's character growth in season 2 and 3.
That goes back to I think us saying before that there was no communication between the writers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to wonder, again, it's a TV show, and it's like you call in writers, you don't expect them to be fans of the show. You don't expect them to brush up on the show before they write an episode. You just give them a quick synopsis. But they should, I agree. But I don't think they do that. It's very clear. And this was definitely a misfire, because in a bubble, without any of any context of who these people are, it's an okay scene. But with everything in context, it's like, ew. Why?
Yeah.
It's just gross. This could have just been a nice scene of, CLOE helping him with his bandage and him talking about missing Tyson and being like, wow, you've really grown up, CLOE, and her being like, oh, thanks for acknowledging the fact that I'm not a little girl anymore. It could have been a good big brother, little sister scene. Yeah. And instead they made it creepy. And you're like, why? Why did you go for creepy? And then the music, wop, wop, wop.
I know.
Here's my question. Okay? If CLOE hadn't acknowledged that he could be hitting on her, had she even said that, would it have been a creepy scene?
Right, that's what I'm saying. They clearly wanted it for that.
Yeah.
And it's at the expense of Lex in the moment that didn't have to be this. You purposely made this a creepy scene, and I don't know why you chose to do that. And they clearly thought it was funny.
Yeah, because of the music, yeah.
Right.
They're like Lex getting turned down. Oh, God.
Ew.
I mean, I was going to say, even without CLOE's last line, it was creepy. When he went from her healing hands and eyes were just roving over her body, it was creepy.
I wasn't paying attention to his eyes. I was trying my damnedest not to.
He was like, oh yeah, I noticed you. It's not. It was just it wasn't good. Even with
the line that did it. The line that did it for me was, a man needs a woman. It's like, ew.
No, you're right. You're right.
Why are you saying this to her?
Right,
no, it's completely unnecessary. This could have happened with anybody. It could have happened with one of the females. It would have been.
How long has Tyson been gone?
A week.
Tyson who?
2. Tyson who? Yeah.
Because I was like watching the scene and I was listening to because I was like, I think I remember the scene and I remember how bad it gets. But I'm listening to it and I'm like, okay, so far this is fine. What they're talking about, the way Lex is expressing himself, the way Lex does, is all fine. You know, it's only gross if you attribute something gross to it, right? And then, you know, so I was like, okay, this is fine. This is totally fine. And then, you know, he goes into, you know, how Tyson was a real woman. And I'm like, okay, yeah, he's explaining there's a difference between what CLOE is as a young lady and his wife. Fine. Okay. And then the whole, you know, a man needs a woman. I'm like, okay, why? Like, why would you even give him that line while he's looking at CLOE and she's fixing his bandage and
she's touching his chest?
Right. I'm like, why would you do this?
They knew exactly what they were doing, 100%. Nope, Lex, don't do it. Don't do it.
It could have been a beautiful scene of connection, you know?
Yes.
But nope. Ow.
And again, like, one of the last remaining male Morat characters, and this is the direction you're going.
Yep, apparently he's still a predator. Like, what?
Yeah, because we have to have a very good contrast between Pride, who would never look at a girl that age, and Lex.
And it's like, why? Why is that even necessary? To what purpose is this? You know, you're not going to explore it. You know, you're just going to.
It's to make Pride seem like a good guy.
He's not.
Like in the early days when they would have Lex be predatory, they were at least exploring this personality flaw of his. You know, and the consequences that come with this. It was part of his learning experience of being a person and the bad influence he'd grown up with and the habitual nature that he believed this is the way the world works. It was a purpose to him being predatory. You know, you weren't supposed to like it. You weren't even supposed to laugh at it. You know what I mean? And even if they didn't always explore it well, they did have it there for a purpose. And going forth, this season on, they don't, I'd say they started that in season 3, was him just being casually, yeah, I know my wife's in captivity, but I need some, so I'm just going to casually try to hit on everybody. And you're like, to what purpose do you have this here? You know, and
to keep Lex. They don't want to allow him to grow he would be great otherwise.
And I don't get the point of it because it's like you put so much effort in season 2 to showing his growth as a person, so you clearly wanted him to get past these things, but then it's like when you don't know what to do with him, you just pull a terrible flaw of his from the past and just throw it in there. But then you do it for humor's sake, because that's what season 3 did. All of the whole I'm just going to try and sleep with whoever was always played unseriously.
Yeah.
It was never like a crisis of conscience for him to try and sleep with Ebony a couple of times. It was never a crisis of conscience for him to try to hook up with a pregnant woman he meets on the road. It was always seen as that Lex. And it's like, why would you go through all that trouble? And then now you pull it out as just a joke on Lex that he's just lecherous guy.
Yeah.
What's the point?
He's a
perv. That's it.
They're pervert.
He literally goes from like one of the 3 most important resistant members to a perv.
Yeah.
And that's his direction from now on.
Yep. I wonder, I'm like, are the writers who come in, are those the notes they're given on who he is as a character?
Lex is a player and he's not very good to women and he thinks that, like, that's it. That's it.
Wow.
That's all I can think of. Yeah. He doesn't care. He loves his wife, but if she's not there, it doesn't. Out of sight, out of mind.
All cats are gray in the dark.
Yeah.
Other country doesn't count.
Exactly. Different zip code. What?
Yep.
So yeah, and I really don't know why they went for laughter on this. I'm like, ew.
Laughter was just because CLOE turned him down. That was it. It was just supposed to kind of lighten the scene a little bit, even though it did. It goes back to them, making joking tones and things that shouldn't be joked about.
Yeah.
This is not funny. Like, predatory behavior is not funny, and shame on them for thinking it is.
But clearly, they just haven't really taken it that seriously since probably season 1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Take it seriously with Salene either,
That's why I said it wasn't since season 1. They haven't seemed to take this kind of behavior seriously, which again always makes me look at the creator side eye.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, yeah. Let's move on to Amber and Trudy.
Hey, Trudy? You awake?
Yeah. I've decided. I'm not going back to the mall.
Then where?
I'm taking little Bray back to my tribe. Back to the Ecos.
In the morning, Trudy challenges her, worried that Amber won't make it, and the Ecos might not even be there, and they briefly part ways before Trudy returns, unable to leave her. So yeah, this was quite an interesting scene between the two. What do you make of Amber's reasonings against Trudy's arguments?
It made sense. I don't really have an argument for what Amber decides. It's the most sensible thing anyone has for quite some time. Why would you take a child back to the city that you know has been invaded?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Why would Trudy want to take Brady back?
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that part of the argument.
But see, this is where I do feel that it's a realistic look at something that is incredibly unfair, but happens all the time. When Trudy was the only mother, the only person with a young child to consider, she was often considered and treated by the narrative as selfish when she wanted to put that child first, that child's safety first. She was constantly, you know, the narrative, even some characters browbeat her into, hey, cast your child's safety aside because we're a family, we're a group. We all have to stick together and put our own fears and stuff away. And Trudy's dealt with that, okay, for like 3 straight seasons, being cast as a villain for saying, you know what, no, I'm putting my kid first and my kid's safety, and I'm going to do whatever's right for her. And she's the bad guy whenever she would do that. For example, back in season 2, they come back to the mall after Eagle Mountain, and it, you know, the kids had seen an intruder, and so Salene and Ryan are like, okay, we'll go check. And Trudy's like, I can't go out there. I have a defenseless baby. The way that is written and shown in the reaction of everybody is though Trudy is being absurd that she would dare stay behind with her baby when there's an intruder in the mall. Okay, she's expected to just get up and put herself and Brady at risk. And so she spent 3 seasons being treated that way. But now that the golden child has arrived, the narrative is acknowledging that it is absolutely right for a parent to put their child's safety ahead of everything. And that happens. I don't know if, you know, you go through something and everyone will treat you like, yeah, well, you're going to have to get over that until they go through it. And then suddenly they get it and they understand the priority change. And as realistic as it was, it did bug me because Amber is making a very reasonable decision. And this time the narrative is treating it as though, well, yes, she should, you know, and Trudy, who's been browbeat into being told she's not allowed to ever make a selfish decision in priority of her child, is like, but you guys have been telling me for the last 2 years that it's all about
we should always go back.
Right, in the group, and that comes first, and
greater good,
right? And Amber's like, yeah, I know I drilled that into your head, and everybody drilled it in your head, but now that I'm a mom, screw that.
Yeah, now I've changed my mind.
And I was like, oh man, that happens so freaking often. It's not fair, but it's so real that that's what happens. And I don't like that the narrative treated Trudy like a villain for having those same thoughts and concerns. But now that it's Amber's turn, it is treated as, yes, that is the logical thing to do.
Yep. But that's the way it always goes.
And now Trudy's the crazy one for saying, we have family. We have to make sure they're okay. We have to go back. You know, she's the nutcase. Amber is the smart one for like, I'm wandering off into the wilderness.
Amber is always the smart one. Remember, it's always going to be Amber's right. This is wrong.
That's why I've always said the narrative has never been in Trudy's corner, and I don't know why. No matter how the situation plays out, she's always
not
somehow
the main character
wrong for what she's thinking.
I wonder if Trudy was based on someone they hated.
But yeah, I think this is the right decision, and I can't imagine, like, why would you bring a small child back into a city that's been invaded and you have no information on what's
you don't
going
even
on
know
in
what
there?
what it's like.
You don't know what this invasion is. You do know this invasion took your baby daddy away. You know that.
Yeah. And you do know there was a plane.
Oh, a plane and, you know, another lot of fans taking people
This is a well-equipped invasion. I'm not going towards it. That's for damn sure.
No.
No, they seem more organized than Jaffa did. Let's get away.
Amber's like, I still need a diaper. I am not going towards the danger. That's an unknown danger. You know what I mean? And once again, Trudy won't get any credit for putting her friend's safety above anything else. Like, that's what she chooses to do. She can't let Amber go wandering off into the wilderness. It's very clear that Trudy thinks it's a bad idea. She doesn't know how far the ecos would be if Amber could possibly make it in the state she's in. And she thinks safety lies in going back to at least what we know. And if we can just get home, and she once again puts others' needs above her own and even above her child's. And she will not get her flowers for that. That will not be seen as, once again, a very selfless thing.
Mm-hmm.
And because I do like the way it's staged, where they have a very different opinion on what to do. And, Amber just being like, okay, it's all right. I still love you, but this is what I'm going to do. And you got to do what you got to do. I hope we see each other again. And then going their separate ways. And Trudy being like, ugh. And then coming back and being like, look, I love you too much. I can't just leave you out here. Poor Brady's like, look, guys, I'm still hungry. So but you get it together, please.
I don't care where we go, Mommy. Just feed me.
Yes. I was like, all I kept thinking is when they were staying the night in the house and they realized there was no food there. And of course, Trudy's, concerned, and poor Amber, she's so lethargic. She doesn't have the energy to be concerned, and they did something to poor Brady to make her start fussing.
Mm-hmm.
And all I kept thinking is that poor baby. She is so hungry and so confused. And I'm like, what'd you do to make the poor baby cry?
Me too.
Poor Brady.
Like, what's going on behind the camera? That's
right.
making her cry and fuss right now. Is her mama back there? Is that what she wants?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, poor little thing. She's like, wow. Like, oh, that poor baby. Man, I can't get over how hard these scenes must have been for the girls to do with these small children. Oh, my goodness. And they did excellent. You know how heavy a toddler is to carry for long periods of time? They have the density of a dying sun, okay?
And all the clothes that she had on the jack.
Yes. Oh, boy.
It is easier at, the girl's age than
maybe
at the age most of us.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I
look at Brady and I'm like, I can't imagine
it was
marching her around all day, just marching through the woods.
Yeah.
My arms.
She can't walk the woods.
True.
I mean, she can walk, but you ain't getting anywhere.
Right.
A walking toddler is like taking a cat for a walk on a leash.
Yeah.
You're getting nowhere fast.
Chloe, I need a hand with the kids.
Why should I? You brought them here.
It'll just be until we...
No. Anyway, I'm busy.
I told you to get rid of him.
Get rid of who?
The kids. I'm getting nowhere with them.
Well, maybe Chloe could help.
Sure.
What?
Or maybe you want me to try.
Are you serious? You really want to play mothers and fathers with them?
Maybe just what they need. And who knows, maybe just what I need as well.
I could do it with you and give Salene a break.
No, it's all right, Chloe. You're busy. Besides, why should you?
And in the scenes that follow, we see a connection growing between both Salene and Pride. So yeah, just wanted to focus on that really. What did you make of these scenes and kind of the connection that was being set up for the two?
I like the scene. It does what it's supposed to do. Obviously Salene doesn't understand what Chloe's issues are with her. She just, probably finds it very frustrating that Chloe, who grew up in this family and saw that we all chipped in to make sure you guys were taken care of, and I'm just asking for your help, and doesn't get where the attitude's coming from, doesn't probably understand that she has a huge part to do with why Chloe has such an attitude. And, it's not subtle, but yeah, I like the way they set up that Chloe is veto, nope, you brought the kids here, I ain't helping with that, till the guy she likes joins in and says, maybe I can help. And, Selene's like, oh, I thought you were too busy. I was like, okay, I like this, and
older sister,
Yeah, like, oh, you didn't want to help me? I get it. You just want to hang out with the boys and stuff, play happy
Too
families
bad.
with him. Sorry, sometimes you can get petty with your teenagers.
Oh, yeah.
I understood the energy. I got it.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I'm not saying that Selene's in the right because, again, I don't think she quite understands where a lot of what CLOE is feeling is coming from. You guys let her down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big time. And she's allowed to have her feelings. And you were this age too, and you were a lot worse. So,
Plus, you were the one who were supposed to keep her safe, keep Patsy safe. Come on.
Right. So, and you don't seem to be all that interested in figuring out why, or what's going on with her emotionally, how she survived the last year. You don't seem to care at all about that. But aside from that, did you think the scene is effective at what it's doing? And I even like the setup of making it clear that Pride just doesn't really seem to know what he's doing here. Like they gave his
Nope.
half-assed reason last episode. And then here we seem to delve in a little deeper. I like how Salene confronted him on that, when she's like, why are you even here? Like, you don't owe us anything, Pride. You're not one of us. This isn't your fight. So what are you doing here? And he repeats that lame ass, I just want to get May and the others back. And Salene goes, and what if we can't? Then what are you going to do? And you can see how lost he is. Now, I don't know if that's the writers who are lost about who Pride wants, or if Pride himself is genuinely just lost right now. Amber was his direction. Remember, he was going to leave the leave the Gaians until he found her. And he even expressed that she gave them purpose again. Amber gave the Gaians purpose again. They gave Pride purpose again. And he is absolutely lost without her. And I don't know if he realizes that or if the writers realize that, but it's very clear that Pride doesn't know what he's doing and clearly doesn't know where he belongs. He only came to the city because Amber was like, I'm going to fight this war. And then he was only going to go home when he realized she wasn't going to go home, but he jumped at the opportunity to come back, So I kind of like that setup of Pride just being lost and then him trying to find a purpose. So I thought that was actually a nice lead in to him offering his help with Salene because he is looking for some sort of purpose, not bad, it felt a little more natural that he would volunteer his time to help her with these little monstrous children, and even says like, maybe it'll be good for me, maybe it'll, help me too. Because I really don't know what to do with myself. I don't know what direction to go in. I don't even know what I want. I don't know what I'm doing, It wasn't the worst obvious sign that two people are going to become interested in each other, I guess, is the best thing I can say about Salene and Pride.
I started noticing that it could be something in season 3 when he was using to get Brady. Like I could see that she was like, oh, because Salene, this guy's showing interest.
Yeah.
So it confuses me that she's so willing to just be like, oh, I understand why you did it. You tricked me. You got me in trouble. Could have got me killed. It's fine.
Well, remember, she made peace with everything out in the wilderness.
Yeah, very quickly. Happened super fast. She grew some balls and that was it.
Yep, she sorted through everything on her map quest adventure. So
yeah.
Remember, anything that happens in the past, that's way ancient history. These kids move on. It doesn't matter.
2 weeks ago, what? That's like 5 years.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen worse, like predictable. This is gonna happen. I kind of like the way this one happened. I'm not a fan or like someone who's against Salene and Pride. I'm pretty indifferent to it. And
I'm against Salene, so I'm like, keep her away. She ruins everyone.
Yeah, well,
she's a little biased,
At least you can honestly say she didn't lead to Pride's downfall. It wasn't her.
No.
Not this time.
Just another one that I can't stand.
But yeah, I thought it was, if you're gonna set two people up, not a bad setup. The way they come together and why, I'm like, okay,
and
it makes
it's not as annoyingly obvious as some others.
Right. I was like, it could have been worse.
And it isn't an instant, ooh, look, a boy with pretty hair, let's jump into bed with him.
Yeah.
That helps that she's not showing any sort of like preference towards him or interest in him like that.
She's changed. She's a changed woman.
She's got other stuff she's focusing on, and so that also helps. And even Pride doesn't seem to be all that focused on her either. So I actually think this works towards the whole slowly realizing you're developing feelings for somebody, which I appreciate, because they rarely, it's a rare gem in the show where two people who've been around each other for a while suddenly start feeling things and like, oh, wow, I've known you for so long.
Yeah, and it hasn't been thrown in our faces for months yet.
Right.
Just it's different because Pride's not her end all be all. He's not the only person that she is focusing on. As Liz said, she has other things. So it's not like with Ryan where to give her all of his attention or she would spiral.
Salene doesn't need a person right now. You know what I mean? So
she needs purpose.
Yeah, she needs purpose. Pride needs purpose. And they end up finding each other through a mutual purpose. And that's nice. Like, oh, you know what I mean? Nice change.
I'm not a fan of the pairing, but we'll get into that once it happens.
But you don't have to be a fan of the pairing in order to appreciate the fact that it's not as rushed as other.
I mean, I can't remember how long it takes.
That's where I am. Like, I'm with the fact that it wasn't an immediate. Salene didn't immediately attach her.
Yeah.
And that's what she did with Bray. She did that with Ryan. So I think that's why it's a breath of fresh air, I guess. To see it happen relatively slowly compared to some of the other.
I guess we've always relied on Tysan to do this sort of thing. But she isn't with us right now. There are a lot of people who aren't here. People we care about and hope to see again soon. This is for them.
So, Salene does hold the ceremony for all the missing Morats, with only Lex, Pride, CLOE, and Ellie in actual attendance, because that's all we have. So,
that's strange.
What did you make of this ceremony?
I don't. I'm gonna be real. I watched it, and I don't remember.
It's okay. It's not hard.
Is it better than the trial?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Is it better than the first trial, the water trial?
Okay, it's not terrible, like in concept at all. It is an awful bitter reminder of all that we're left with once again when you see it all on the screen, that this is literally all we've got left of the Mallrats. It's like, geez, just twist the knife, why don't you? And it does have a little bit of a pathetic feel to it. But and how I've always felt about the photos, and I have felt this way about every freaking photo that's ever featured, except Dal's parents. That's the only one that made sense, and it was, or the Polaroids that Jack and Ellie had taken. Those were the only ones that felt like real photos in this world that made sense that you would have a picture of these people. But I mean, that's just a show. So, like, where'd you get these pictures? I never see anyone with a camera ever.
They got them from production.
You just have to accept it at this point. Yeah, it's just
They just have pictures that somebody is taking. They're gorgeous too. That's what sickens me. These are the most gorgeous pictures, and it's never discussed when they're ever being taken, but you conveniently have them when you need to remember somebody.
You know what the strangest part is about those pictures? Someone actually bothered to take one of Trudy.
Well, they did that back in season 2 when Salene is remembering Trudy. There's this gorgeous picture of her and Brady. Lovely set picture. And you're like, nobody would have taken the time to take a picture of Trudy and Brady.
No, exactly.
Not one that gorgeous. No freaking way.
I mean, and they didn't manage to use that picture on the missing posters anywhere.
No.
It's like,
nope.
It's like, no, just a drawing of a baby that was kidnapped.
But yeah, I mean, again, it's sad and pathetic because this is all we've got left, and these are likely not the fans' favorite characters. I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but let's just face it, when you think about fan favorites, this little crowd in the mall may not make that list. Right? So
Only Lex.
Lex might.
maybe only Lex, you know what I
Just
mean?
Lex. Lex is up there, but that's it.
That's it. You know,
Here, have some
so
secondary characters.
Like they couldn't even drag the kids into the scene, like just to
Yeah,
bolster
where are
the
the
numbers.
yeah.
You guys stay in this room and don't move.
This is your B team.
Don't bite anything.
You mean the C team?
Oh.
But hey, guys, the Avengers started out as the C tier team, so you know what I mean?
They'll never be the A team, though.
It doesn't have to be a terrible thing. You know, the MCU started with the C-list characters and reigned for a decade. So, nobody thought they could be everyone's favorite hero.
I'm gonna be honest. I can't even remember what Salene says in the ceremony. Like
No,
whenever there's a
really
ceremony, I can remember like things that people say, like Tysan or Amber when they have a big like moment. But here, I just like it felt
Yeah, but
empty. I
that's
don't know.
Nope, I don't remember any of it. I remember the pictures.
That's because he's just mimicking Tysam.
It is very generic. I don't remember what she says either, which is sad because I'm sure I've seen this episode several times and I did watch it today, and yet I cannot think of a single thing that she did say. It's just background noise. That's not her fault. It's clearly they didn't think of anything very creative for her to say. There's nothing that really sticks with you, you know? I can hear the music in my head, but I can't hear Selene's words. And so, yeah, it's very unmemorable words they gave her to say in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's just a shame. That's a folly on the writing.
Whoever did that.
And but there are little things I liked about it. Like, you know, Lex wasn't all excited about a moment like this either, but he still showed up. There are these moments I really love when like Lex and Selene sort of show up for each other in this season, you know what I mean? And so I kind of like that. That's just like we may not agree on stuff, but we're still team players. We're still part of the same family. You know, even CLOE, you know, like Ellie coming in, you know Ellie didn't want this, you know?
Yeah.
But just, you know, in that moment, she wants to be with her family. She wants to stand with her family because this is the whole point of this is we all feel the same way, sweetie. We feel your pain. We're feeling it too. You're not alone, you know? And so there was those little moments that I liked, you know? I guess the thing that makes this one just not as, I don't know, maybe poignant is because we know the reason most of the people are gone is because there was just like this massacre of the cast for some reason, you know? And it's not like the other moments where it was literally a part of the plot for characters to be ripped apart, like a cult taking over. And I don't know, there's just something about this that feels so different that it doesn't feel as meaningful. I don't know. I don't have the words. I'll have the words later.
I'm convinced that season 4 and season 5 are in a different universe. It's just a parallel universe.
It kind of almost feels like more of a memorial for the family.
Right?
Yeah.
Here, guys, sorry we did this to you.
Are we sure it isn't?
Maybe that's the problem. It feels a little too meta. You know,
Well,
maybe.
It does feel like that because I was going to mention it as well because like when they bring Ellie in and she's there clutching Jack's whistle and he's not even gone yet. I'm like, I mean,
wait,
too
Jack's
heavy-handed.
Whistle?
Yeah, she's all cradling Jack's whistle.
Ryan won?
Yeah.
The one that Ryan won in season 1?
It suddenly makes a return, so you know
it's a new lucky whistle. It's not even the same lucky whistle.
It's just okay. So he just likes whistles. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his special interest.
I actually kind of like that, you know, that Jack
No.
just picks up. No, hear me out. I'm not saying I like that Ellie is carrying it, signaling that Jack's also on the chopping block. No, I like that this clearly is a habit of Jack just picking up random pieces of his junk and calling it his lucky piece of junk. You know what I mean? It's very clear this is not Jack's lucky whistle. Okay, he hasn't mentioned a whistle since season 1, and like that's not a part of his character. But he did that just to make Ellie feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Like he literally just quickly looked down at all his junk and said, "Here, this is my lucky whistle." You know what I mean? And even Ellie's expression is almost like she knows, Jack, you've never used a whistle in all the time I've known you. But thank you for giving me one of your pieces of random junk. I get the meaning behind it. You know, I thought that was cute. Not her, again, carrying it out to signal his demise.
We weren't even there yet.
Nope.
I know, like.
What do you know? Ellie, that we don't.
He's like, he's gone. You know he ain't coming back.
Emily will never keep him safe.
She's
Well,
not
to be
wrong.
fair,
I know.
to be fair,
That's what
Come
I
on,
mean, like, why include that? Because it's literally the next scene. Like, did we need that heavy hint?
That
Literally
that
lasts 2
foreshadowing.
seconds before. Yeah. Like, why?
course we
Somebody thought this was brilliant foreshadowing.
We have nothing else, so this is the twist. This is our one brilliant thing of this episode.
or maybe they hadn't even considered what order they would, edit this in.
They knew they knew they had to write Michael out.
Yeah.
They
so it's in the
And
same
so
episode. So come
That's
on.
why. That is why
that's
Ellie
more-
and Jack kiss. This is why they rediscover each other.
No,
now, I don't have a
Yeah.
problem with them rediscovering each other, but that's the reason they do. That's the reason that this is the moment when he's about to go that they look at each other and realize we're over our BS, and I still care about you. Da da da. Because somebody was like, "This is brilliant. This is tragic." This is what us writers think about. We want to destroy you.
They were like, "Ooh, Ellie tears, yes."
Oh, yes. We need her to spiral even further, so let's set this up.
So let's take everything away.
And you do feel sad for Ellie because what's coming, like,
Right. Jeez.
she
She
has
is.
lost everything.
Do you see the way she's clinging to that whistle? It is her last hope in the world. Yes.
Yeah.
Clinging to that thing.
Luke, Jack, Alice, like her whole support system's just ripped one after the other.
No.
Mm.
She is holding to that whistle and just praying that Ebony, of all people, brings him back safe. She don't even care if they solve the problem. Just bring him back safe, please.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, that brings us directly to our final thoughts of the episode. Unable to get the device working, but realizing that the Technos must be using a network, Jack teams up with Ebony to locate their cell tower so they can target it and level the playing field. However, after an ominous goodbye scene with Ellie, they head out and Jack is promptly captured by the Technos. So yeah, oh god. I mean, so what did you make of the pairing that we saw between Jack and Ellie and the really hasty way in which Michael Wesley Smith was written out?
I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. Let me just get the laughs out first.
It was just so incredibly obvious that this was going to happen.
The setup isn't terrible. The actors are doing a good job. Ebony, for once, actually seems concerned and like she's not going to throw Jack under the bus because she's just as invested in him as figuring their way out of this, getting a leg up on the enemy. Okay, that's kind of cool. I like Ebony and Jack together. I like Jack's confidence. He knows what he's got to do, and he's sure he can do it. On and on. All that's cool. But it's another season 4 issue when you see it played out in front of you. Where do these technos come from? Ebony, you couldn't whistle anything to give him a heads up. It's just so sudden.
That's exactly it. Like, Ebony is standing guard. Jack's right there, and he hears the lock, and he's still fiddling with the lock. Like, I don't get it, to be honest. It's not done well. It's just not done well.
It's not. When you see it, it looks so silly, and yeah, like the alarm goes off. It's time to just run. It's time to book it. You know what I mean? And
he's still there playing with the lock. Like, what do you think is going to happen?
Given where the technos come running out, they come swarming out, that means Ebony would have seen them before Jack would have seen them. So there's no warning call, nothing, to let him know, dude, give up on the lock, they're coming, and it looks so silly. And so, I mean, I suppose it's supposed to be sudden, but it just doesn't look great, I guess. It's not effective visually, in my opinion. And it's not the worst send-off. Like, obviously Michael had to go, and at least he got written out properly, doing the heroic thing that Jack would do, and it's like, okay, at least he gets that. But yeah, it just felt a little, why is Ebony even there? She's not contributing to this at all. She just sat there and watched you be kidnapped.
See, it gets even worse because like Jack is just there, even though the alarm's blazing, he's just fiddling with the lock as if he's got all the time in the world. And then as they grab him, he's there staring directly at Ebony while he's being carted off, and he's still looking at her while he's being carted off, and no one's looking around. Like it's not. It really is framed really badly. I hate it.
Yeah. Not to mention, it's like, okay, the alarm probably went off. He was likely either seen on camera or, something like that. So it's like, how was Ebony not seen? Given the fact that these Technos have cameras everywhere, how did they not see these two approaching? You know what I mean? They should have seen the both of them. Like, I don't know how Ebony's hiding in plain sight in her bright red outfit.
She isn't yet. Ram's just playing with her.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's my only conclusion from this. Ram saw her, and he figured, oh, that's another one to play with.
I mean, and don't you know that any kind of like box, garbage, or whatever it is immediately like it's like an invisibility clip.
Yeah.
You just gotta duck behind it just a little bit, and as long as you're behind it, you're invisible.
Video game rules, I forgot.
Yep.
Ebony is the worst hider ever in tribe history.
Like, and the color, you're right. Bright red clothes, bright red.
Barely taking cover.
Yeah.
I love when people can't see her. It blows my mind every time. She's not even trying. Gets me.
To be honest, she's short.
She is little. I will give her that.
But then again, like even pushing aside all the silliness of the scene, we lose Jack. He's just come back, and we lose Jack.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a stab in the stomach. Like
It
no,
especially when we've just lost so many.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, at least he got written out properly. He got written out doing something he totally would do. It's part of his character development where Jack would have definitely pulled back from putting himself in danger in the past. He is so beyond that now. He's like, whatever I can do to fight and save my people, So it's like, at least he got that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Compared to everybody else, it's just assumed they all went out to investigate this, despite the fact that it just didn't make sense for so many of the characters, and they were just taken, all of them, and you're just like, Alice left the cage to wander the streets and got taken, really. It's just, so it's like, I'm just glad Jack got written out in a proper way, even if it's so sudden and looks silly. And I'm like, if he clearly has to go, I think he was filming Atlantis High at this time?
Yeah.
So he had to go. At least they didn't do it off screen, and Jack just disappeared. Like, he's not there for an episode and everyone's asking where Jack is, and then it's just assumed he was taken by the Technos,
Yeah.
I suppose that's such a small thing to hang on to. Yeah.
Think about the other characters who are going to disappear in the next 2 seasons, who will just, they're gone. They must have been taken by Technos. You know what I mean? There's no explanation for it, rather than writing them a scene. But yeah, it's silly. It looks ridiculous, and all I'm just like, Ebony, you were useless.
Yep.
I can't wait for you to go back and tell everyone you lost the only useful person you literally had left.
If CLOE was with Jack, she would have ran and tried to save him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She would have.
Not Jack, no. And he's just like, well, I guess.
It's like the staging, I think of the staging, like Lance said, the alarm is going off. What does Jack think he's going to accomplish still fussing with the lock? It'd be different if it was already open, he was already like patched in or something, and he couldn't unpatch himself.
They haven't even reached the cell phone tower. Like, he's playing with the lock. Like, well, I don't know how far he thought he was going to get.
Right. That's like, I'd be different if you're patched in and you're connected to it or whatever, and you're just like, I just need 10 more seconds, or whatever. Then I could get it. But yeah, you're messing with the lock. You clearly haven't gotten that far. Time to retreat and try again. You know what I mean? Like, this whole thing, the way they decided to film it was just, this is silly. Because now you made Jack look like an idiot. You made Jack look dumb and Ebony look useless. And I'm still like, the Techno saw you pulling up. They saw you pulling up. And these guys were literally in foxholes just waiting for you. And But it's like you had an alarm, and then that meant you had time to just be like, okay, this isn't going to work. First attempt, not going to work. So it's like, okay, you guys have got to get better at writing these scenes visually. Because again, on paper, this sounds fine. They go to the airfield. Jack starts trying to pick the lock. The alarm goes off, and he gets caught. On paper, you're like, oh yeah, okay, that makes total sense. But then you see it, and you're like, oh my gosh. I swear, this is going to be such a hit and miss season.
More.
They have scenes that show that they're actually really good at the visual storytelling. So good at it. And then
And maybe that's just why there's no credit for director or screenplay.
which is interesting because this isn't the worst one. This isn't even the worst one we've seen yet.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Maybe it
This is the one you wanted to abandon? This was the episode? Really? We're only 4 episodes in, and I would definitely give that to episode 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that's a worse episode. And just to finish this off, it is so sad to lose Jack because this feels like this would have been his season. Like this is right
For
up
sure,
his
Techno's, come
his
on.
yeah, it's perfect for him and his development. And the fact that we lose him and then obviously get a proxy.
And get that replacement.
Yeah, it's like
As much as I love it.
as much as I do like Patch, but this was Jack's moment. This was his moment to be proper glow up, but and we lost him for Atlantis High.
Freaking
you know that had to have killed the writers too.
Oh,
that had to have killed them to know, we made the perfect season for you, but we already committed you.
We can't use you. That's crazy.
We ourselves chose to put you somewhere else.
They did that to themselves, yeah.
They
did that to
did.
themselves. Really? How could you even make that choice?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's where a lot of them went too, didn't they? I mean, but okay. Wasn't Victoria also in Atlantis High?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, and Laura?
And Laura, yeah.
Yeah.
And Fleur?
It could have had something to do with the roles they were playing. And because I'm pretty sure Mike, wasn't he the main
He
character?
was the main character, but I'm pretty sure Victoria was in a lot. I saw her in most.
Victoria somehow, I don't know how she did that. Yeah,
Me
she
neither.
was in a lot.
Almost. She played 2 different characters, didn't she?
Yeah.
Twins, a boy and a girl.
It could have also been that, Michael was like, no, I won't commit to 2 shows. It could have just been an actor.
Yes, and that is completely understood.
Setting a boundary and saying, no, I can't. I'm trying to do school and all this stuff. And you can't have me for both of them. So you're going to have to pick which one. And they were like, crap.
I would have preferred Jack.
I never watched Atlantis High, so I don't know what we gained from him being in that show instead. But yeah, it could have been an actor's choice. I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't know if that was more rewarding for Michael. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
So, he may have made a decision that we already discussed how this show likely ran these poor young actors ragged.
They did.
So it is quite possible he was
52 episodes a season.
Yeah, I can't commit to both of these. I'm trying to go to school, and this one I get to be the starring role. I like the character I'm playing, you know what I mean? And and we know that a lot of actors decided to leave after season 3, so who knows what was going on behind the scenes.
I mean, we're talking about. Since we're on the subject now as well. I mean, it's kind of crazy because they filmed the season 4 of The Tribe, then you've got Atlantis High, and you've also got Revelations all concurrently, with that starred Ram, and a lot of the characters guest starred in it. It's weird. They were put through a lot. They must have been exhausted.
Cloud9 was ambitious.
Oh, what? Yeah.
It's like they figured, okay, these kids got a few years in them left that we can cast them as kids. So let's
squeeze all the life out of them as we can.
We only use the same 30 actors.
Don't forget all the albums and the touring, guys.
Oh yeah, you can't forget the cons.
Oh my god, yeah, that too.
And the CDs and the music videos.
Season 4, yeah, that had all the Dragon Con stuff as well. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep.
That is crazy. Wow. These are kids. Yeah. These are kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe Michael and his parents were like, yeah, no. You get to have them for one show. You pick which one or whatever. Maybe Michael got the choice and said, I gotta stick with this one,
Yeah, because here I'm the main character and not just Ellie's side piece.
And again, I never watched the show, so I don't know how different his character is in that show. You know, you guys think of what's rewarding for actors or where they're being filmed, you know, and how that affects their living situation. And
I'm gonna have to hope that it was because of some other situation, because he pretty much plays a light
Same
version of
character.
Jack.
Yeah, that's what I was like, I'm pretty sure
he pretty much does, isn't it?
very similar to how Jack was in season 4.
Yeah.
Well, then I hope whatever the reason was, it was to Michael's benefit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I hope it was.
Being the leading actor in the show, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
I am hoping that Michael wasn't getting screwed. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just think it's crazy that, like, I mean, it had to have been a decision that was made. You know, because, like I said, yeah, Victoria, she's there for so much, and she plays 2 characters in the show.
And Michael did leave for a huge chunk of season 3, so I don't know if that had to do with school or something else he was involved in, you know?
Yeah.
And we already know that Beth and Antonia were like, look, we got other stuff we gotta do, and so I just hope it was to the benefit of the actors.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm bummed too. I'm bummed at... What? Of all the Mallrats... Again, this is not me throwing shade at the Mallrats we have left. But I will admit that Jack would not have been my first pick of which of them to cut from the team. That's all I'm saying. Like, and that's growth, Sabine. I hope you're registering that. It's Jack that I didn't want to lose.
Oh my god! You just reminded me again. We are losing Trudy and Amber very quickly soon as well.
Yeah,
that's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. Of the Mallrats left in the mall, I could have handled any of them leaving at different varying levels of sadness, but Jack would be my top pick for the draft to not lose. You know what I mean? Like, please don't take him. I love what you've done with him, and just so solid of a character. Even when I wanted to punch him in the face, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you hated Jack.
I hated Jack's behavior. And I gotta admit.
When does he come back?
It's a long time from what I remember. So yeah, really.
I don't think Jack comes back until
season 5, episode 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a long time.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm very sad to see him go, and especially because Ebony didn't bother to protect him. Like, what the frick? Ebony, he is literally your best chance at figuring out this new enemy, and you just let him be whisked away. Blows my mind.
You just handed them the most useful person that's left within your tribe-ish thing.
No shade to the others, but yes, Jack was the most useful player on the team. You should have guarded him with your freaking life, Ebony. There should have been a fight of something, and he's taken. You know what I mean? And she barely gets away or something. But the fact that she just watches it go down, like, whatever. Oh boy.
I mean, see, honestly, this girl deserves Ebony deserves getting punched by Ellie so hard.
But yeah, you're right. I guess we have to take solace that at least he was written out.
Yeah, and that's sad. That's a low bar.
That's a
very low.
But we know it doesn't happen often, so we have to take this win.
Like, even in season 1, when Paul had to go, they still, like, gave it episodes. They found a way to write him out, even though he wasn't there. You know, there were episodes. There's, like, 3 or 4 episodes after, you know, where the concentration was finding this little boy.
Yeah.
You know, so even Paul was written out because of the way the other characters reacted to him. You know, at the end of season 1, season 2 starts, and they can't, you know, film anything with Beth or Amy because the actresses are gone, but they still wrote them out. They were like, well, there was an explosion. Like, they really wrote the girls out. You know what I mean? And it
blew them away.
You know, Dal got a chance to be written out, you know, but poor Ryan, you know, Patsy, just chopping blocks, you know, just and then of course the season 3 massacre, starting with season 4, just they all conveniently all wandered out into the street and got taken, you know,
because they're all that.
What is that noise? What is happening? Oh,
all of them, every single one of them. That's what happened.
looking like it's fine. It's fine.
That's why we had to see Alice go out of her mind.
We're fine.
Because otherwise we could never accept that.
I still can't. I'm sorry. I actually accept it less, given her emotional state.
Yeah, no,
Nope.
she literally
She would've-
she would try to
Can
kill
you
somebody.
imagine Alice versus Jay?
She would break him in half. Alice would kick his butt.
Uh-huh. Mad Alice definitely would. Sure, the zappers would, be effective, but
Fair. It has to be a fair fight. No pew pews.
that's the only reason they managed to get Alice, right? Because of the pew-pews.
To be.
Maybe that's why we have them.
She was just wandering the streets as a mad woman going, alms!
Wasn't
alms
she
for the
locked
poor."
in the cage?
Yeah.
No, she wasn't locked in there. She was just sitting outside of it.
Okay.
But,
Yeah,
whatever.
Lex was told to do that, but Lex never did.
The headcanon is that Alice was Bess, okay? And then Tyson was like, I'm going to go get you some herbs. I'm going to get you some tea. I'm going to make you some tea, and you'll feel better, because that was her answer to everything. And so Tyson wandered out, and that's how she got caught. She was going to gather some stuff. And then Alice wasn't in her right mind. Is like, where's my tea? And
No. Alice realized he let the gun go, and she went after him to kill him anyways.
Alice came to her senses and was like, wait a minute. I let him go. That doesn't solve anything. I gotta go find out. And then Casey was like, I see a scam. And the twins were like, we're bored. Sure. And they went. And that's what half the city did. And so
Go see what this plane's all about.
And then
Ooh.
May, geez, what was May doing?
May is
May-
actually a
May-
survivor. She
May was
knows
thinking-
better.
You can't even
I
come up with
can't
anything.
think of a reason May would walk straight into
Yeah.
danger.
May
There's
absolutely would not. No way.
No,
No defending that.
I can't.
Like, they
with
had to come
May.
into the mall. They had to
Yeah.
come into the mall, and that's what they did. And they did. They took everybody from the mall themselves, itself.
May went looking for Pride because she was like, "Wait, he's with a girl," and
He's with Amber. No.
I can't have
He
that.
was with Trudy.
He was with Trudy, but Trudy's still a girl. So
Trudy's going to find Amber.
exactly. So May was like, "Wait a minute." Somebody was like, "Oh, Pride left with Lex to go find where Amber and Bray were," and May was like, "I can't have that." So
No.
that's how May got caught.
Yeah, I thought we were done with that.
Maz was like, you know what, this thing isn't working with Ebony, so I think I'm gonna try and see who this new invading force is. But she didn't bother telling any of the other Mozzie.
No, because she wants to be, number one.
Oh, she told them. She just didn't involve
Oh, yeah.
them.
Yeah, you guys stay here. I'm not gonna take my backup.
I'm gonna go find out what this plane is, guys. I'll be back.
You wait here.
Yeah, you wait here. Like that sounds so like Maz. Yeah, okay.
Mm.
So yeah, it totally makes sense, guys.
If you don't think logically.
If you don't think, it all makes sense.
But Jack got a send off, at least.
At the very
At
least.
least.
At the very least, he went out a hero. He went out trying to save people. He went out doing what he's good at. So
Except it wasn't that good since you got
right, he went out picking a lock. So maybe, you know what? He got written out. That's it. I'm gonna stop there.
Bye, Jack. We'll miss you.
See ya
Oh,
in a little bit. It's not goodbye forever.
a whole season without him, man. A whole season without him.
Yep.
We already did more than half a season.
I know, man. But at
That's
least
what
it was
hurts. He
he's a
came back,
punk.
had a glow up, he changed, he'd been improved, and then
Became a man.
gone again for a whole season. Wow.
Well, they would have. Well, see, that's another problem. If they kept Jack around, they probably would have beaten the Technos a lot sooner. So
Oh, for sure. He'd have hacked right
And
into the
that's-
systems.
he was
That's
too
how you
competent.
go.
He had to go.
Oh,
We couldn't have him defect to the Technos.
They made Jack choose Atlantis High because they knew that the Techno storyline would not work with him in the city.
We can't write around your intelligence, so
No.
everybody's got to be too dumb to handle this. And then we can bring in someone who's not quite as good as you to take care of stuff.
Yeah.
No shade to Patch, but that's exactly how he's written.
Yes.
To be just under Jack's intelligence. He's helpful, but not,
Capable.
he's
he's
not
not
a
Jack.
genius like Jack.
I'm just thinking of all the amazing storylines we could have had with Jack this season. Like, working with Ved, like Ram, like, oh my god, it could have gone so many directions.
Could have been a real fun chess game with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we can't have nice things, we know that.
Where's the lost opportunity button?
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, we'll come to patch soon. For now, yeah, that brings Series 4, Episode 4 to a close. Thank you very much to the panel, and you can show your support by clicking on that like and subscribe and following us on all the major platforms. You can also leave us a comment or get in touch if you'd like to take part in a future episode of the podcast yourself. Just search for the Tribe.UK or Conversations on Eagle Mountain. You can also throw us a donation. Just head on over to buymeacoffee.com/thetribe.co.uk. And we'll see you next time for episode 5. Until then, bye.
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 Bye.